Okay. I guess this is part 6. Yeah. Feeling lonely. Okay, so so it was in November of 2024 when I told her that I wanted to get divorced, and so there were for probably the better part of a week. It was every day just whining and crying every day, like lugubrious levels of sadness and crying and stuff. And she's in the other room and I'm in this room, and you sort of can't escape it. So I would go out a lot. I would just like go out, like stress smoke cigarettes, like find some place warm to stay. So then there was the Christmas massacre of 2024. That was Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. So I remember I had a plan. I was going to try and get sober. Like I didn't want to, be drunk for Christmas, and so I had this plan. I wanted to watch A Christmas Carol, the one from 1941, I think it is, with Alistair Sim, and then It's a Wonderful Life, which I've watched every Christmas Eve since I was like 20 years old. And so I just like I didn't have any friends or family or anything, and so I just wanted to like uh, have a little Christmas, by myself. And I was thinking I would roast a chicken and maybe have something sweet for dessert, something special, for Christmas. And so she started up. She had those 3 days off, so she started up. I believe so. Like I said, there's waves, 30 to 90 minutes, more than 30 minutes, like an hour, 90 minutes is how long they last, and it's just continuous whining and crying or rage. Like Monday, Bloody Monday, it was a 90. I was like a 60, 90 minute wave, but it was rage and anger. It's like I talk more and then I start to cough more. Um, yeah, so like Christmas Eve, there were 2 waves. I pretty much, when this happens, like I'm pretty much driven out of the house, and the only way to escape it is to get out of the house, whatever time it is of the day. So there were 2 waves on Christmas Eve, and then there were 3 waves on Christmas Day. I remember the last wave. I left at like 11:45 p.m. Christmas Day. Um, yeah, it's hard to explain. I had I had like the earplugs that expand in your ear, and then I had the ear protectors, so it somewhat dampened it, but you could still hear it. And it's just I can't. It's torture. It's just torture. I don't know how else to describe it. It's absolute torture. And hearing her calling me a monster and all this stuff, and so then Boxing Day, there were 2 waves. Um, I remember, so like I woke up Boxing Day in the morning or whatever, like 11 or whenever I woke up at that time. And I hadn't drank on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. The Boxing Day, I woke up and then she came out into the kitchen. She was sort of like tearful and sort of quiet, like emotional, but very quiet and delicate. And she said something like, "Oh, can we talk?" And I just like I had had enough. I was like, "Fuck off! Like just fuck off! Like leave me the fuck alone!" Like I was just like at my wits end. And when that happened, then like she just got really, really angry, and I think she like stomped. She went into the bathroom. It sounded like she stomped her foot on the floor or something. She was really angry, and so I must have taken off then, and then there was a second wave later in the day. I remember like I came back and I was making my breakfast, and I was just like never more certain in my entire life, like I am going to get drunk. I am going to get drunk. Like I'm 100% sure. um yeah, I've just like never been more certain that I'm going to get drunk, and so I got the alcohol and like weed or whatever, or I think I just had alcohol. um, yeah, I remember thinking that Boxing Day, like before I got the alcohol, like people don't really. you're not really people don't have a strong instinct to avoid being killed. Like, not really. Like, I don't think, like, death doesn't really exist because you don't know what it is. People have a, they don't really have such a strong instinct to avoid dying. It's to avoid pain. That's what it's all about, because pain leads to death. I mean, I suppose there's some cases where, like, just like the saber-toothed tiger jumps out and bites your head off and you don't feel anything, but generally death is preceded by pain. And you get cut or whatever and you feel pain and then you die. So we protect ourselves from pain. And I remember thinking, it's like, the cigarettes aren't good for me, the alcohol isn't good for me, weed, whatever. I don't care. I need to protect myself from pain. It's an unbelievably powerful urge to protect yourself from pain. So that was really an intense feeling that I had on Boxing Day. I was 3/4 crazy that day, not thinking clearly, but just absolutely focused on protecting myself from pain. And so after that, a couple of days, the 2 days after Boxing Day, I experienced like dissociation. It's really funny. Dissociation. I mentioned this before with that moving van that I saw in the park. It's fascinating. Like, it's actually cool. Dissociation is actually really cool. It's really interesting. Um, it's just, you feel very calm and it's sort of like dreamy. I don't know, like you're underwater or something. I'm not sure how to describe it. Um, like, I remember I was coming back from the place to get alcohol and going to the place where I was going to get weed. And I was walking along the street, and if you would have been passing me by on the street, like, you would have seen me walking, but I wasn't there. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I wasn't there. It's like that fucking Radiohead song. What's it called? How to Disappear Completely. Um, like, I'm just convinced that song is about dissociation, because that's what it's like. It's just like that song, and it's very dreamy and it's very calm. It's actually fascinating. Like, I guess this is part of dissociation, but I could like step outside of myself and look at myself in that situation. It's objectively fascinating. It was fascinating to experience that. And I was like that for about 2 days. It was really, really interesting. I felt really calm. Like, in a weird way, I liked it. Yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of like, just to make this clear, to sort of summarize some things. So all this shit that I've told you, so my family, my parents, my brother, my marriage, the dementia, the lawsuit, my marriage, divorce, all this stuff, everything was like interlinked. It's like it's like three-dimensional. It's like overlapping. There's like synergy. It's like a synergy of pain and despair. Um, all of that stuff was linked, and it all happened in a 5-year period. From the beginning of dementia, becoming power of attorney, being sued, being verbally beat down while being sued, depression, addiction, gaslighting, divorce. It was all connected. So it all happened at the same time. So I sort of speed run, my misery. uh, yeah. So like, I know, like, people can get drunk, get behind the wheel of a car, and they go, driving, and they take out a whole family, and then you're like, you sober up and the cops take you out of the drunk take and they tell you what's happened. Like, that's on a whole other level. Like, for as far as I know, I basically have my health, and I have my freedom. But my life has been completely destroyed. Um, yeah, I haven't worked since 2018. I have no friends. I have no family. I have like 2 people with advanced dementia, in long-term care. Um, yeah, like I literally, like, I have nothing. So my life, like, within that realm of like more normal situations, um, yeah, my life has been completely destroyed. Yeah, so like I was saying before, like, I'm really glad to feel lonely. This is great. I actually feel lonely. That's a good sign. Um, yeah, and I don't give a fuck anymore. Like nothing can kill me. I don't know how to say this. Like it's just after everything I've been through. Like I don't give a fuck. Like I started off saying, I don't care how many people or how few people see this. I just don't fucking care. I don't give a shit. But I think about that park bench, and I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it so that like when I'm sitting on that park bench, I don't have any regrets. Like I'm gonna be a good person, not a bad person, and I'm gonna live my life the way that I want, and I'm not gonna live on my knees. Uh, I don't give a fuck anymore. Um, in a good way. So like around this time, November, December in particular, January, February, it took me about until I think January or February for me to get over the anger that I felt towards my former brother-in-law. Now I just don't give a shit. Like I just don't care. I'm not interested. I used to have these thoughts. I'd go there and I'd like have words with him, look him in the eye and tell him whatever. Now I just don't give a shit. In a good way. So during this time, when I actually felt lonely for the first time in my life, really for the first time in my life. When I was a kid, I was like, if you've ever read Calvin and Hobbes, that comic strip, I was Calvin, except that I wasn't mean to Susie. But, I lived in my own life, in my own head. I had this thought, like November, December, January, I had this thought, I liked the idea, like maybe I'll be murdered because I thought about that. Like if I was murdered, and my body is found like in a ravine somewhere or something, I thought about like the police officers, the detectives that would investigate the murder. How like they would think to themselves like, well, I didn't know this guy, but he didn't deserve this. They would care about me even though they didn't know me. Like they had never met me. And I thought about like being in the coroner's office or whatever it's called, and like being on that cold like steel table and being examined by the pathologist or whatever it is, and just how they would treat my body. I had these thoughts, like how they would treat my body, how they would treat me with respect. And then I thought about like, if you don't have any family or friends, like when you die, like there's probably like a charity or something here in town, um, like somebody will give you like some clothes, like they'll put you in clothes and they'll clean you up, and they'll give you like even if there isn't a funeral, like they'll give you like a casket, like there will be a grave site somewhere and somebody will make a tombstone. There will be an epitaph. Like they'll figure out when you were born, like who you were when you were born and the day you died. Somebody will chisel those letters and numbers into a piece of stone for you. People will even like in that like at the end, like I like to it made me happy. I mean, not happy. It made me comforted. I felt comforted to think that if I was murdered, there would be an investigation, and then the preparation of the body and the grave site and the tombstone and the epitaph, and somebody would bother to do that. I think that's what happens. So it was comforting to me to think about being murdered, or just turning up dead or whatever. So another thing I was thinking at the time is I've heard like when you're about to die, if you have children, you think about your children just before you die. But if you don't have children, then you think of your mother. And I thought about the situation that I was in and how people had turned their backs on me and how nobody knew, like everything I've told you and the ways the stuff that happened to me, like nobody knew. That made me feel lonely. And I realized like that made me feel lonely. So, I thought about that. Like if you, like, I don't have any kids. So like, I kind of thought like there were times, November, December, January, when I thought like, I think I just want to be with my mom. And, I thought, I hope like when I die, I won't just be hit by a truck, like blindsided. Like I hope that when I die, I will know that I'm going to die and that it will take time. You wouldn't want it to be painful, but like I would value that to have those minutes or days or whatever the moments before death, uh, so I could think about my mom. Okay, I'm gonna take a break. Okay. Yeah, that some of these things might seem somewhat disjointed, but I think they're all connected. So some of this stuff I was thinking about, like going through this. So like imagine like imagine you were given like a tropical island, and you have like a big mansion there, whatever you want, you can design it yourself, and you have like $10 billion in the bank, and you on this island, like whatever food you want, whatever drink, drugs, fine clothes, uh, whatever products you want, they'd be delivered to you by drone. Like maybe you have an interest in sports cars, so you'd have a collection of like 300 sports cars, whatever you want, and there'd be a racetrack like on the tropical island, so you could drive your cars around. And so imagine if you were given all of that, you could have all of that. But there's one catch. You're on this tropical island, you're all by yourself. You can use the internet, but you've got to lurk. You can only lurk. You can't even post a comment. No posting. Would you take that deal? Like you could have all of these material things. Like maybe do you want money? Do you want to be rich? Do you want to be free? Do you want financial freedom? Do you really like sports cars? Do you maybe you really like drugs, or you like alcohol or something? Would you take that deal? Would you go to that island? You stay there for the rest of your life. You have to stay there for your whole life. You'll be taken care of in a material way, but you'll never be able to have any connection with anyone. Nobody will know you. Would you take that deal? Like, I think I know what you would say. I think we know, most of us, we know what we would say. And there are some people severely mentally ill, hermits certainly, that would take the deal. But that, I think that says something about you. You wouldn't go to that island. Um, Sometimes you'll see like somebody who's an alcoholic or an addict. Like one of the things that you'll notice about them, they in one to one degree or another, they don't have dignity, and they sort of they don't have any self respect. Like they will conduct themselves in that way. They just look that way. Certainly, homeless people that are addicts. Um, they basically, I think what's going on is that like they feel it is objectively true, or they feel that nobody cares about them, and so they don't care about themselves, and nobody cares about them, and so they don't care what anybody thinks of them. It's sort of like for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, kind of thing. So you should understand that, about people who are alcoholics or addicts, and if you are one, I guess you can understand that about yourself. But if you have somebody in your life that's like that, you should understand that. Yeah. Uh, okay, so another thing, so like in February of this year, 2025, I got to 3 days of being sober, and I'll get to that, the concept of being sober. So I got to 3 days, and then like on the third day, before going to bed, I just, my brain is sort of still recovering, I suppose, from drinking 6, 7 beers every day for months. So in February, I got to 3 days sober, and in the evening, the thought came into my mind, like it's also the weed, like some like you go into a room to get something or to do something, then you like walk into the room and you forget it. It's something that can happen when you smoke weed like every day. So like I sort of noticed this cognitive decline, and I guess it was in my mind because of having seen it in my parents. I just got this irrational fear that I had like early onset dementia. So I went to bed, and then the next day I had to go to the dentist. And then after the dentist, I went to the barber, and I was sitting in the barber's chair, and I have the thing on, and they're cutting my hair. And I was just like, I just felt incredibly sad. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm sad because I think I have early onset dementia or I might. I just, I felt sad about a lot of stuff, but I guess the concept of having early onset dementia, it's like the idea like there's no more time. And I know what it looks like. Uh, when a person realizes there's no more time. I remember one time in the condo after my mom had gone to long-term care, like my dad, the thing about people with dementia is they do this thing called sundowning. It's like later in the day when the sun goes down, they become more confused and stuff. They can be more clear in the morning. And I woke up one morning, it was just like 7:30 in the morning or whatever. My dad had been up maybe for like 30 minutes or whatever. He was sitting in the couch in the living room. And I'll just never forget the look on his face, like this look of just despair, undoubtedly, regret, maybe, I don't know. But I'll never forget that look on his face. It was like he completely perceived his situation. And that always stayed with me. And so I was sitting in that chair in the barber shop, and at one point I had to actually explicitly tell myself in my mind, you need to get yourself together. I was not far from actually beginning to cry. Like I wasn't tearing up, but I was getting to the point where I was gonna like tear up, like right there in the barber shop. And it's just like I can't like go to the bathroom or whatever. I'm sitting there getting my hair cut, so I had to consciously tell myself, you need to get yourself together so you don't cry in the barber shop. And so then like I relapsed, and I'll get back to that later about like why that's connected to other things. Uh, yeah. So what another thing I was thinking in this period, I don't think you fear death. Religious people think they know what death is, or at least it's what death is. If you're a good person, you go to heaven. I guess people that are agnostic or whatever, like you don't know maybe what death is, or maybe you assume it's just, a dreamless sleep, I think as Shakespeare put it. I don't think that you fear death. How do I say this? Imagine, forget the tropical island. Imagine you could have everlasting life. So you die, but then you're at the pearly gates or whatever, and you get to be I always imagined heaven is like it's a cloud. You're on a cloud. It's just like walking around, and there's like a cloud as your floor. So imagine you could you have everlasting life. You go to heaven. You live forever, but you will never be able to say the things that you wanted to say to the people that you care about, that care about you. You will never be able to say the things that you want to say just to people generally. You will never be able to express yourself. You will never be able to connect with people, but you will have everlasting life. Would you take it? Would you take that deal? Or would you say the things that you've always wanted to say? It could be thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, goodbye, whatever it is that you want to say to the people that matter to you, that you care about, or that, if there's people that care about you, or just things that you want to say generally to people. Would you write a song and then sing it to an empty room? So would you take that deal? Would you take everlasting life if you could never say the things that you want to say to the people that you want to say them to, or just to people generally? Or would you say the things that you want to say and then just go into that black sleep? I think I know what choice you would make. So just So just remember that. Think about it. Okay. All right, that's the end of part whatever this is. Where are we? Thus concludes part 6. All right, I'm taking another break.